Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. What I was going to say before we started the video is whenever we teach, it's always for us. Okay, so we usually teach for ourselves first, and then hopefully you get something out of it. So this is something that's personal that we've been going through, something that we've been digging into, and we've even made reference to it last week, and you've heard us talk about different scriptures on it. So it's personal to me. Hopefully it's personal to you, because I'm sure that all of us can get something out of this morning. So if you will let us all stand, we've been in Proverbs a lot. Let us stand and turn to Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6 and 20. We'll start here, but we'll go before it and after it, and we'll come back to it. And there are things that we need to get out of this. So Proverbs 6 and 20. My son, watch over your father's command, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. When you have woken up, it talks to you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Let's lift up our eyes. Yahuwah, Almighty, Elyon, Most High, there is no one beside you. Yah, we're just so thankful for this day, thankful for this opportunity that you give us. We just come as a humble servant, Yah, searching and seeking you in all things, looking for your face, that we might know your truth and your only truth, Yah, we pray. We always understand that there are two sides to every story. I've even heard before that there's three sides to every story. Your side, their side, and the truth. So, Yah, may we always seek for the truth in everything. May we look at both sides of all doctrine, and then come to our own understanding, Yah, of what you have given to us, Yah, because you can find anything in this world that caters to the teaching that you want to hear. But I pray, Yah, that we would just seek you in all things. You are our Elohim, and we are your people. May we just solely lean on you and trust in you for your truth, Yah. Believe that you have given us your Ruach to teach a people, and that you are with us and you dwell in us, Yah. May we draw closer to you, especially in these days. We pray this over all the people here, Yah, that indwelling spirit would be in them, that Ruach that would guide them in the truth, Yah, but not just that they would hear the truth, but be doers of the truth, Yah, that it would mold their character. May we be molded after the image of your family, Yah, we pray. Keep us, preserve us, forgive us if we fail you, teach us, guide us, Yah, we pray. Speak for us at this time. May we be a vessel of honor. Baruch Hashem, hallelujah, amen. So, Proverbs 6 and 20, my son, watch over your father's command, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. Now, I don't believe that this is a bind and let it go. I believe this is a continual binding. A continual binding. It's not just you get it after one read, and then now you got it and you apply it and everything's okay. I believe it's a continual binding. Look what he said. Bind them on your heart always. Notice he didn't say once for all. He said always. So it's a continual binding. But what we want to get this morning, my son, watch over your father's command. We know what that word watch is. It is shamar. It means to guard, preserve, treasure over your father's command. And I really liked the definition of this word command. If we can find it right here, the word command was code of wisdom. So the code of wisdom. Now, our fathers have all kinds of wisdom just to hand out to everybody. So that word wisdom, or that father's command, is your father has things that he has learned throughout his life. And that's what it's talking about. Your father's code of wisdom. Okay? It says, my son, watch over your father's command, and do not forsake the Torah of your mother. Now, that Torah is law, direction, instruction. Okay? Torah. Do not forsake the direction of your mother. Now, we learn tenderness from our mother. We learn correction from our father. The father is meant to correct. The mother is intended to be tender, and it can't be any other way. It just can't be. When a father tries to be too tender, it's tough. It just can't work out for them. They're tough, they're rugged, they're stones, whatever you want to say. And the same thing for a mother. You ask a mother, and it's hard for a mother sometimes to correct their children. It is. It's hard for a mother to whip their children sometimes. Okay, so the father is the corrector, and the mother is the tenderness. Is the tender one, okay? And that's just it. So your father is trying to correct you in a code of wisdom. Skill. Okay, you learn skills. And then you have the direction of your mother, which is tenderness. Do not forsake. But my favorite part of this, although you have the code of wisdom of your father and you have the direction of your mother, it says, bind them on your heart always. That word bind is koshar. It is to bind. And we talked about this when we said mercy and truth. We talked about mercy and truth maybe about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It said, bind them on your heart. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. And it says, bind them. That word bind is mean to bind together. Okay? It means to league together, make a compact, join together, knit together. It becomes stronger when you put them together. So it's not just all truth, the father, and it's not all just mercy, the mother. Because the mother wants to show mercy, 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 and the father just wants you to learn the lesson. That's what the father wants. I just really want you to listen to me, and because I've experienced it, I'm trying to tell you the things that I've learned in my life, my code of wisdom. I'm just trying to teach you, okay? I would that you just listen to me. And then you have mercy, who is the mother. You can't have one without the other. You can't be too stern, and you can't be too tender, because the child will not learn, okay? So, bind them on your heart always. You've got to join them together. You've got to join it together, but you're joining it together with your heart. So, what does this mean, these first 3 verses that we're getting into? Tie together your heart. What is your heart? It is your mind, your will, your understanding. It is your thinking. It is your reflection. It's your memory, your determination. And we're going to get into it when we get into the whole teaching of this doctrine that we had this morning, moral character. Your moral character. Tie them together. Tie together your moral character with your father's code of wisdom and your mother's direction. You got to tie it all together. But it's talking about your mind, your will, your understanding, your thinking. I really like reflection too. The way that you reflect. A lot of times we lack reflection in our lives. What does that mean? We observe others without observing ourselves first. We lack reflection in our lives. We can point out everybody's faults, and we'll get into that, but it's hard sometimes to admit our own faults. And that's the truth. And that's what we'll get into. We all, let's go ahead and hit it. We all have character flaws, don't we? Every one of us. We have character flaws. Things that we don't like about ourselves. So you are tying together what your father has taught you in his code of wisdom with your mother's direction. And I really think about it, and it's weird. You have Jacob and Esau. And you had Isaac and Rebekah, correct? Isaac and Rebekah. And Rebekah told Jacob to do what? She gave him direction. Do this. And a lot of times we think that it's a little bit corrupt the way that they went about doing what they did to Esau, but she gave him direction and it worked. Weird. But that's what I think about. She gave him direction. He listened to his mother's direction. And it worked, and he received what was promised to him. The birthright and also the blessing. So, tie together your father's code of wisdom with your mother's direction. Tie them together with your moral character. Reflection. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. And a neck is a representation of speaking. Because what comes out, it comes from your vocal cords, out your mouth. Your neck is a representation of speaking. So, when you are walking about, it leads you. When you bind it on your heart, the Torah of your mother and your father's code of wisdom. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. And when you have woken up, it talks to you. For the command is a lamp and the Torah is light. The code of wisdom of your father gives you illumination, light. It lights your path. Why? Because your father has experienced some of the things that you're going through. And he's trying to influence you with those things. Okay, code of wisdom. And then you have the Torah is light. So the instruction of the mother, because if you read it all together, the Torah, the instruction of your mother, the direction of your mother is light. Illumination. So the vessel, the lamp, is the commandment, and what feeds the lamp, the light, is the Torah. Now, let me be humbled for a minute. Men, life would probably be a little bit easier if we listened to the women in our life. That's just the reality of it. And that is my downfall. Because I've learned that when somebody tells me something, I usually have something to say back to them. Like, would you do this? Well, why don't we do it this way instead? And I'm that person. You know what that's called to me? One-upping somebody. Yep. You told me something, you thought it was right. Well, let me do better than what you said, and I'm going to say this. And we're going to do it this way, because this is the way that I see it should be done. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be our way. That is a character flaw of mine. That is my own character flaw. But I recognize these things. You have to be able to recognize them and embrace them before you can change them or even try to do better. We all have character flaws. The most humble thing that a person can do is listen to somebody when instructed. And you're talking about, did that come out of the straight left field? No, it didn't, because if you look what he's saying here, listen to your mother and listen to your father. The most humble thing you can do as a child is listen to what your parents have to say. Okay? The most humble thing you can do as a child of Yah is listen to what he has to say. We talked about, and we've been saying over and over about reverence. The most prevalent way, or the most magnified way for you to reverence somebody is to obey them. If you respect somebody like a teacher to a master, if you respect your master, you will do what your master asks. And you reverence him. When you lie down, it guards you. When you have woken up, it talks with you. The commandment is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Tie together your moral character with your father's code of wisdom and your mother's directions. Proverbs 9. Proverbs 9 and 9. Give to a wise one, and he is wiser still. Teach a righteous one, and he is increasing in learning. The reverence of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the set-apart one is understanding. For by me your days become many, and the years of your life are added to you. If you have become wise, you have become wise for yourself. And if you have scoffed, you alone shall bear it. Now, everybody knows, let's give us an example. Everybody knows that exercising and eating right is good for you. Everybody knows that, okay? Some people apply it in their lives, some people don't apply it in their lives. Nevertheless, we all know that eating right and taking care of yourself will increase and add years to your life, okay? Now, what we have to realize, and what I have to realize, we all have to realize, is that your determination is not always someone else's determination. Okay? You can't always get somebody to do the things that you want to do. And it was taught to me and told to me this week a very important way, and I knew it, but it became real prevalent that it has to be something within that person that gets them to do it. It has to be something within that person that gets them to do it. And I'm going to take it home for you, because the way that I started on my exercise, eating right, whatever journey is because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So when you get to the end for yourself, that's when you change. But it's different for everybody. Okay? I remember one of the pivotal moments for me, although I had somebody kind of in my ear saying, hey, your tummy's getting kind of big. I had somebody saying that to me when I was working, and I tried to get to the bottom tier in the freezer, and I bent over and my stomach got in the way. That's when I knew it was time to change. Okay? When you have no energy, when you're wore out all the time, when you wonder why you're aching and cracking and there's pain everywhere, you're wondering why. Everybody comes to a different point when they realize, I've got to change something. I've got to do something differently. And the thing is that I came to my point. You've got to come to your point. And I pray those listening, I pray anyone here, that the point is never too late, because sometimes it's a very grave matter that happens before somebody changes. I know somebody that I work with and had multiple seizures, and they were like, what's wrong with him? And he was sick. He was sick. He ate horrible. He was sick. And then they said, if you don't change this and you don't change this, this is going to happen. And he changed. He changed. So that was his point of turning. Same thing here. Same thing here. What did he say? Where are we at? Proverbs 6 and 20. When will it be too late? 9 and 9. Give to a wise one, and he will be wiser still. Teach a righteous one, and he increases in learning. The reverence of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. So knowing and realizing that what he had planned for us, his commandments, his Torah, is the best thing for us. And reverencing him, the greatest way to reverence him is to obey him. Okay? And that's the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the set apart one is understanding. For by me your days become many, and the years of your life are added to you. If you have become wise, you have become wise for yourself. And that's bringing it back home on what we were talking about. Everybody knows exercising and eating right is good for you. But if you exercise and eat right, it only profits you. It doesn't profit anybody else. So if you become wise, you are wise for yourself. And if you have scoffed, you alone shall bear it. Both ways. The word is prescribed as a prescription for your life. And if you do not obey the prescription for life, what happens? There is a cause and effect. You didn't obey, the effect is death. Because you didn't obey, death. Because you do obey, life. That's it. So, if you have scoffed, you alone shall bear it. If you become wise, you have become wise for yourself. Proverbs 6. Proverbs 6 and 16. So we went back, we were in Proverbs 6 and 20, and we're going to bring it all home because we're going to go back through 16 through 24. I told you we were going to go before it and after it, and that's what we're going to do now. So Proverbs 6 and 16, these 6 Yahuwah hates, and 7 are an abomination to him. While I'm on this verse, some of the other scriptures, they say, and the 7th is an abomination. So it doesn't just say these 6 things Yah hates and 7 are abomination. Some scriptures, even in the art scroll, it says, and the 7th is an abomination. Some of the rabbis teach that the first one is the abomination, and some say the 7th is the abomination. It says the 7th is the abomination, but I can understand the first being the abomination also, because it is a detestable thing to him, a proud look. A proud look. What is that? Eyes lifted up, head not hung down. No, you're not proud. You're not humbled. You're proud, boastful, egotistical. We've talked about that before. He continues on. A lying tongue and hands shedding innocent blood. A heart devising wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil. So not only are you thinking about doing evil, you want to accomplish it. That's what he's saying. The heart devises wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil. A false witness breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers. So the seventh there is one who causes strife among brothers. Division, contention. One who divides. Yah hates. Whether it's the seventh or the first, I would say both are pretty grave. One who divides and one who has a proud look. Now, what we are drawing from this before we go into the teaching, what did we say before? The most humble person is one who can be instructed. It's not one who says, this is a better way, or this is what I think. It's one who is instructed by the master. That is a humble person. Now, a proud look. When we get offended, when we get offended, that is our ego. That is our pride when we get offended. Now, offense can look many different ways. We've talked about emotions before. It doesn't have to be shutting down. It doesn't have to be depression. It could be anger. It can rear its head any way that it wants to. It could be a violent emotion. Whatever it is, offense comes in many different colors. But you know what happens when you get offended? That's your ego coming out. That's your pride coming out. I don't want to do what you tell me to do. I know better than what you're saying. If we had a title for this message, it would be, Don't Get So Bent Out of Shape. Don't get so bent out of shape when somebody corrects you. And we'll get into it. It talks about faithful are the wounds of a friend. And it also talks about an open rebuke is better than secret love. Let me give you an example on that. Yesterday, we were at the park, and there was a young man, and he was smoking his e-cig. And he was smoking his e-cig on the park playground. And then he got really close to my son. Somebody said, don't do it. And I said, He was really close to my son smoking that e-cig. And I said, hey, don't smoke around my son. Please don't smoke that around my son. And he didn't. Okay? So, open rebuke is better than secret love. What does that mean? You can say to somebody, that person's doing wrong. That person is doing something wrong. And if you never openly rebuke that person, your secret love does them no good. That's what he's talking about. It's better to openly rebuke somebody in front of a crowd of people than to secretly say, that person's doing wrong. I shouldn't help. Don't help that person. So on and so forth. That's what we understand. It's better to openly rebuke somebody and have the thought of them destroying you, because anything could have happened at that time. But open rebuke is better than secret love. So it's better to correct somebody. Now, you have to correct somebody in love. You have to be able to do that. Okay? Now, because it says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kiss of an enemy is deceitful. So if somebody is your friend, they love you enough to correct you and to tell you, you don't need to be doing that. Okay? And you never know the effect of what you say. That person can completely turn around and now never want to smoke an e-cig again, for all I know. I don't know the effect of my love towards that person. So, Proverbs 6, he's continuing on. Now, a proud look, and I told you, this is for me. Sometimes I get bent out of shape when somebody corrects me. I get all tore up, and I really like how he connects it for us this week, because it says iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron, okay? So don't get bent all out of shape when somebody corrects you. So he continues on. Now, a proud look he hates. He hates a proud look. And what is that? Ego, pride. Remember, like I said before, we all have character flaws. Every one of us. Things that we don't like about ourselves. And sometimes it's hard to admit them. It's easy to admit all the other problems that everybody else has. But it's hard to admit our own character flaws. That's the humble person. That's the one who Yah is working on. The one who says, I need help in that area. And that's just so outspoken. It's so forward for me, is that when somebody corrects me, I'm easily offended. You know why? That's my ego. That's my ego. That's my character flaw. That's my pride. Now let's read through the rest of this. So these are the things that he hates. Let's read the end of it. Verse 19, a false witness breathing out lies and one who causes strife among brothers. My son, watch over your father's commands. What did I say? The most humble thing you can do is listen to another person's instructions. And when somebody corrects you, you don't have the proud look. You're not breathing out lies, so on and so forth. These 7 things that Yah hates. My son, watch over your father's commands and do not forsake the Torah of your mother, so you don't get offended. Your ego does not come out. You're not a proud person. Bind them on your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you are walking about, it leads you. When you lie down, it guards you. And when you have woken up, it talks to you. For the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is light. And I make this comment often. If you read through all of Proverbs, especially when you get into Proverbs 8, it talks about how wisdom is a woman. Wisdom is a woman. Women probably know more than we give them credit for. And that's the truth. So I just think that that's a very shocking correlation in Proverbs. Continuing on. For the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life, to guard you against an evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a strange woman. Okay, so what is the Torah trying to preserve you from? You have 2 women in Proverbs. One is wisdom, one is the unrighteous, adulterous woman. The one who tries to lead you away from the instructions, the mighty one that you know to serve other mighty ones. That is the adulterous woman. That is what it talks about in Proverbs. So you guard the Torah, you keep the commands of your father to preserve your life, to guard you against the evil woman from the flattering tongue of a strange woman. If you don't know Torah, in the last days, you will be led away. That is the truth. That is the great whore. That is the one with flattering lips, is those who lead you from Torah. And like I talked about last week, they have ensnared the innocent. What did it talk about? 7 things that Yah hates? People who shed innocent blood. And that false doctrine that people are teaching today is destroying people. It's to keep you away from the evil woman. Proverbs 12 and 15. Just one verse. Proverbs 12 and 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice is wise. Ego, pride, character flaw. Like I said before, sometimes, and now it's going to come home, sometimes we are slow or slack to point out our own character flaws. Why? Because everything that a fool does is right in his own eyes. I had no wrong. And the sense of it is that, what do we try to do? We try to make up excuses to why it's okay. And some of us can speak eloquently. I can probably get myself out of a hole. But the sense of it is that don't make it right. That does not make it right. Now notice it says that a fool, everything that a fool does is right in his own eyes, but he who listens to advice is wise. The most humble person is one who can be instructed. Sometimes it is hard to admit we have character flaws. The fool sees no fault in what he does. He often comes up with excuses to why he is right, even though he is wrong. We can do no wrong or did nothing wrong. That is what the fool says. It is hard sometimes to find fault in ourselves and take responsibility for it. Ownership. Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12 and 5. And you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuwah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. What does faint mean? Give up. Don't faint. Don't give up. Don't fall out. That's what that means. Okay? When he corrects you, don't give up. Okay? Because he corrects you with love. He is a faithful friend. So, for whom Yahuwah loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. If you endure discipline, Elohim is treating you as a son. For what son is there whom the Father does not discipline? Now he's going to bring it back home and give us something that we can relate to. But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are an illegitimate and not sons. Moreover, we indeed had fathers of our flesh disciplining us, and we paid them respect. Shall we not much more rather be subject to the Father of spirits and live? Remember, he is correcting you because he loves you, okay? And he is correcting you that you might live. Same thing as our earthly fathers is what he's talking about. He corrected you with the understanding that he had, okay? Everybody, and that's what I learned yesterday. Everybody in the world, to some degree, is teaching their children the ways that they have learned. It could be a good thing, but it could also be a vicious cycle. Because that's why people pick up these, let's say, alcoholism, bad eating habits, whatever. Diabetes comes from passed down generations of the foods that were eaten. Okay? That's where it comes from. Unhealthy issues. It's passed down. I don't believe it's genetic. It's passed down through the foods that we eat. It's passed down through the things that we inherit from our parents. So, our parents correct us. Now, our parents should correct us in love. Because why? What did it say in Proverbs? In the ideal home, the father is trying to teach the kid his code of wisdom. So he corrects him out of love. This is what I've experienced in my life, and this is what I want you to learn. And he corrects them. He disciplines them. But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are illegitimate and not sons. Moreover, we indeed had fathers of our flesh disciplining us, and we paid them respect. Sometimes we had to get to the point where we needed the whooping. Okay? Instead of respecting what the parents said. Okay? So, like the father, just listen. If you just listen to him, if we just listen to Yah, we wouldn't need to be flogged. We wouldn't need to be corrected. We wouldn't need to be disciplined. Does it hurt worse to do it instead of getting the flogging? It hurts worse after, when we have not listened. Does it not? It hurts worse when we do not listen, whether that's through discipline or grief. I'm grieved that I didn't do what he told me to do. And that sticks with you. So, moreover, we indeed had fathers of our flesh disciplining us, and we paid them respect. Shall we not much rather be subject? So listen, reverence, respect our Father, obey him, be humble before him, to the Father of spirits, and live. And they indeed disciplined us for a few days, as seemed best to them, but he does it for our profit, so that we might share his set apartness. He is correcting us that we might be a set apart people. He's correcting us for our good. He sees better than we do. He knows better than we do. So he corrects us according to his will. So what do we need to do? Be subject to him. He did it, what seemed to be best, and it's for our profit that we might share in his set apartness. Now here's the reality of it. And indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time. It hurts our ego. It hurts our character. It breaks us down when somebody corrects us. It's not pleasant at the time. When we figure out we've done something wrong, like I said, the end result of doing something wrong and not obeying, the grief that comes with it, is not compared to the struggle of what we should do to do it. Okay, so just do it so you don't feel the grief that comes after, or the discipline that comes after, or the fear, because there's usually a fear when it comes to obeying. This might happen and that might happen. But we should reverence Yah more than we reverence the people that we're afraid of. So we can share in his set apartness. And indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time. No way when you were getting a whooping did you say, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's not pleasant at the time. But grievous. But notice, you did something wrong. You needed to be disciplined. Afterward, it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. If I do that again, this is what's going to happen. So I'm not going to do that again. I remember once, and all it took was once. You tell your parents where you're going before you leave the house. It only happened once. That's all I needed. I learned to respect your parents. So, it's grievous when we are whooped. Nevertheless, understand that there was love there. We have all made bad decisions. Of course. We all have character flaws. We all need work. That word exercise, the one who has exercised it, the one who has been trained by it. You have been trained by the discipline. Proverbs 27. Proverbs 27, 5 and 6. This is what I was talking about earlier. Open reproof is better than hidden love. We've already described that. It's better to openly rebuke somebody out in the open than to say, well, that person needs this, or that person needs that, or that person shouldn't be doing that. All that is gossip in the long run. But be that person. You might be the one called to rebuke that person. So open reproof is better than hidden love. The wounds of a friend are true, but the kisses of an enemy are profuse. Let us all bring this together again. That, like I said, sometimes our pride, our ego, our character flaws come out when people correct us. That is the doctrine of today. You can't tell anybody they're wrong. You can't tell anybody that this might be the right way. You can't correct anybody. Why? Because everyone gets so easily offended. All religions are correct. All religion is different ways to get to the same place. Everything is true. All truth is relative and not absolute. That is the doctrine of today. You can't offend anybody. You can't tell them they're wrong. You just accept them for who they are and just love on them. That is the doctrine for today. And like I said, I'm guilty. When people correct us, we're offended. Like I said, offense comes in many different colors. It's not just depression or crying. It could be anger. Everybody deals with situations differently. But that is the generation of today. You can't correct nobody without them getting offended. We need to become a little bit harder. And notice, and I think that it's right here. Like I said before, someone should really tell that person that's wrong. Now, it says, the wounds of a friend are true, but the kisses of an enemy are profuse. Number one, and this is who we should be. The righteous wish, I didn't say it this time, righteous. The righteous wish to be rebuked so they can improve. Can we say we want to be in that state today? We wish to be rebuked so we can improve. The wicked detest reproof because they want comfort, not improvement. The wicked just like the way that it is. What does it say? The wicked wants to discover his own heart. Let me find my own truth. Let me find what truth is to me. And that's the doctrine of today. Do we get easily offended when rebuked or corrected? This can be a character flaw. Ego, pride, offended, the things that Yah hates, a proud look. Now remember, like we said before, it is not pleasant. We should be the people that want to improve. But it is not pleasant at the time, but rather grievous when we get corrected. But nevertheless, you have to be the righteous person that divides truth from a lie and be the person that accepts truth. You have to be that person. And then later on, you'll be trained by it. That you can exercise it. That you can use it. Proverbs 18. I really like this one because sometimes you wonder why you read things and then they come back to you. Okay, so Proverbs 18 and 17. The first to state his own cause is right until another comes and examines him. We've been talking about this verse a lot. Okay, now we were reading that book. It was on managing. When interviewing someone for a job, you should ask the question, what would so-and-so say about working with you? Okay? So what would your boss say about working with you? What would your brother, your father, what would this person say about your work ethic? What would they say about how you work? How is it working with you? What would they say about you? People are more honest about themselves when asked what someone else would say. They are less likely to lie when commenting for someone else. What does it say? The first to state his own case is right. Until another comes and examines him. We're so quick. And like I said, it's hard to point out and to embrace and take responsibility of our character flaws. Because sometimes we see no fault in our own eyes of what we do. You know what the number one most humbling thing you can do is? Ask somebody what they think about you. Ask somebody what they think about you. So, what would so-and-so say about you? Someone who knows you. That is a real humbling experience to ask a faithful friend. A faithful friend will correct you. They don't want to see you continue to go in ignorance. Proverbs 27:17, and we'll close out. Proverbs 27 and 17. Iron is sharpened by iron, and a man sharpens the face of his friend. Proverbs 27:17. The ISV at the end of it says, so a man sharpens his friend's character. So iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens a friend's character. The NET says, iron sharpens iron, so a person sharpens his friend. And then the other one says in the English, Easy English, people learn from each other. As iron tools make iron sharp. To end this, don't get so bent out of shape. This message was for me. I pray everybody could have received something from this. And even as the word says, and in the day of provocation, do not harden your heart. If Yah is teaching you and telling you something and correcting you, and he uses people. He uses me. He uses Jason. He might use your parents. He might use anybody to correct you. It might be a complete stranger that you don't even know. He can do anything that he wants to correct you. If he has corrected you, don't get so bent out of shape. Yah is good. He is faithful. And faithful are his wounds. Let's lift up our eyes. Yahuwah, thank you for this day that you have given us, Yah. Thank you for your love. You're just so good to us. You are a faithful friend. We want to walk close with you, Yah. Sorry if we leave you or we don't spend enough time in your word, Yah. May we do better just meditating on your word day and night, that we might know your word and be close to you, Yah, to be taught by your word and trained by it. May we understand that you are in complete control over our lives, Yah, and just be subject unto you, we pray. You are our Elohim and we are your people. I pray this prayer over everyone is here that we might be devoted to you, Yah. We lift you up. Baruch Hashem, hallelujah.